From the banks of the Indus to the palaces of Istanbul, from the streets of London to the corridors of Washington, empires have used the same timeless strategies to gain, maintain, and project power. Today, we continue our journey to uncover how India, the Ottomans, Britain, and the United States crafted methods that echo in today's politics and global affairs. Long before Europe codified law, India had political theory in the form of Kautilya's Arthashastra, written around the 4th century BCE. This text wasn't just about ruling, it was about surviving, thriving, and outsmarting rivals. Imagine being a minister in Chandragupta Maurya's court. Every decision could mean life or death, prosperity or famine, loyalty or betrayal. Ordinary citizens might have only noticed the tax collector, the peacekeepers, or the war drums, but behind the scenes, a sophisticated statecraft was at play. The Ottomans were more than conquerors. They created one of the most resilient empires in history, lasting over 600 years. How? By blending religion, law, and bureaucracy into a unified system. From Istanbul to Baghdad, peasants, artisans, and scholars navigated a complex system. Compliance wasn't just demanded, it was cultivated through fairness, opportunity, and the promise of social mobility. Britain may have started as a small island, but it became a global superpower by mastering trade, navigation, and finance. Unlike Rome, it relied not only on conquest but also on commerce, culture, and innovation. The United States emerged not as an empire, but as a republic designed to balance liberty and order. Yet like the empires before it, it quickly learned the art of projecting power globally. Today, their legacies are all around us. Britain's commercial networks laid the groundwork for our global supply chains. America's blend of military presence and cultural influence defines modern diplomacy. The lessons of empires are not relics of the past. They are the invisible architecture of our present and a direct blueprint for the future. How do you control a world? Not with swords, but with information and influence. 2,500 years ago, the Persian Empire mastered this. Their intelligence network, the king's eyes and ears, used spies and fast messengers to see and hear everything. Today, they are satellites and data analysts, but the mission is the same. Information is power. Persia's soft power was even more revolutionary. Instead of forcing their culture, they offered stability and respected local traditions, binding the empire with loyalty, not fear. The Royal Road, their great economic highway, has become our global network of trade and data. The tactics have evolved, from messengers to satellites, from cultural respect to global media, but the Persian blueprint for influence remains the foundation of modern statecraft. How does a king rule an empire that takes months to cross? He sees with other men's eyes and hears with other men's ears. This was the secret to Persian power, the king's eyes and ears, the world's first great intelligence service. The eye was the official inspector, sent to audit governors and ensure loyalty. But the ear was the true spy, the gaushaka or listener, a ghost in the marketplace, collecting whispers of rebellion and discontent. Their reports traveled via the Royal Road's relentless messenger system, giving the king almost real-time information. This network was more powerful than any army. It wasn't just about spying. It was about creating the belief that the king was everywhere, all-seeing and all-knowing. In the 6th century BCE, Cyrus the Great created the largest empire the world had ever seen, stretching from the Mediterranean to India. Unlike Rome, Persia didn't try to turn everyone into Persians. Instead, it perfected the art of managing diversity. For the average Babylonian, Egyptian, or Jew living under Persian rule, everyday life didn't collapse, it actually improved. Taxation became predictable, trade expanded, and local cultures survived. While Rome conquered through uniformity, Persia ruled through flexibility. Where Rome demanded obedience, Persia offered incentives. Modern politicians study both methods. To Persian leaders, Greece was a noisy frontier of disorganized tribes. To Greek citizens, Persia was a gigantic empire threatening their freedoms. Two sides, two perceptions, a story as old as politics. But while Persia mastered diplomacy and administration, another civilization quietly invented something even more powerful, the system of statecraft itself. In Western politics, the leader often defines the state. In China, the state defines the leader. This fundamental philosophical difference is one of the most powerful undercurrents shaping global politics today. This idea is rooted in the mandate of heaven, where dynastic cycles were maintained by a meritocratic bureaucracy chosen through intense civil service exams. To the common person, the emperor was not just a ruler, he was part of the cosmic balance. A bountiful harvest signaled heavenly approval, while a devastating flood suggested the emperor had failed morally and might lose his mandate. This long-term, cyclical view is also deeply strategic. An ancient scroll unfurls revealing Sun Tzu's name. His principles, win without fighting, use deception, and know your enemy, are echoed today in everything from cyber warfare to information control. Ancient tribute routes morph into the modern Belt and Road Initiative, showcasing a strategic vision that spans centuries. In a world of short-term policies, China's ancient long-term thinking stands out. Power is never random. It doesn't simply appear. It flows through time. If you watch today's headlines closely, alliances forming, sanctions rising, borders shifting, you will notice something strange. We've seen all of this before. From the halls of Washington to Beijing, from Brussels to Moscow, the strategies driving modern politics were pioneered thousands of years ago by empires that no longer exist, at least not on the map. In today's documentary, we'll travel from ancient Rome to imperial Persia to dynastic China, uncovering how warfare, diplomacy, intelligence, propaganda, and economics evolved, and how world leaders today still use the same playbook. So to understand the modern world, we must first step into the ancient one. Rome began as a small city-state on the banks of the Tiber. Its founders weren't dreaming of global domination. They were simply trying to survive. But survival created innovation, and survival slowly became ambition. Ordinary Romans didn't speak in grand strategy. They talked about taxes, land, food prices, soldiers returning home from war, the same daily worries modern citizens have today. But behind those concerns, Rome was constructing something powerful: political engineering. When Rome entered a new region, it didn't immediately conquer. It studied local tribes, identified factions, funded friendly leaders, and isolated uncooperative ones. It won wars before they started. Today, regional powers still apply this logic, only now they do it with loans, pipelines, trade agreements, and security promises. Imagine living in Gaul or Judea when the legions arrived. For locals, it wasn't just soldiers, it was taxes, roads, new laws, new gods, and new identities. It felt overwhelming, yet many communities eventually adopted Roman life because it offered order, stability, and prosperity. Today, leaders don't build marble statues, but they build brands. They shape narratives through media, campaigns, social networks. Rome understood this 2,000 years ago. Whether it's treaties, military alliances, trade wars, propaganda, or sanctions, the methods are ancient, only the tools have changed. The great paradox of history is that while the actors change, the script remains familiar. Empires rise when they understand the world and collapse when they misunderstand themselves. For ordinary people, from Roman farmers to Persian merchants to Chinese scholars, politics wasn't abstract. It determined their food, their safety, their future. And it still does today. To predict the future, world leaders study the past. Maybe we should too.